All right, welcome back, friends, to one more fun day of SAT. So a while ago, some of you, I asked a question a long time back, and one of you wrote cookie with a K. And so I decided to go and educate myself. And I was like, okay, what is this cookie with a K? And now I know who, it's a who, it's not a what. And so now I know who cookie with a K is. And so I decided to play some music related to that. Cool. So that's me learning. That's good, right? I have a few questions for you to help me figure out something I've been struggling with. The first question is, can you tell me what is your favorite subject in high school? So here's a poll. What is your favorite subject in high school? Okay, this is interesting. If you put other, you can write it down in the chat. So this is what we have. Let me share. These are the results. I think you'll have to scroll to see the results. This is very interesting to me. Yeah, if you can write down into chat what other is, that would be great. Okay, then the other question I have for you is, ooh. Oh, I didn't put DT on there. You're right. Okay, good. All right, good to know. What time do you, on holidays or on weekends, what time do you usually wake up? So on average, in holidays and weekends, when do you usually wake up? One more poll. Okay, let me share this. I love it. There's some before 8 a.m. people. Good stuff. All right, I like it. Okay, that's pretty good. Most of you are 9 a.m. And no, why did I take the UWC flag off? I thought all the other school people will start to dislike me if I don't give it equal airing time. So since we've already accumulated 2 or 3 days of UWC flag, I decided I'm not going to become more in debt to other schools. So that's why I took it off. Okay, and then let's do. Oh, I have so many questions. Which one do I want to do first? Oh, okay. Are you an Instagram pro? And if you're an Instagram pro, will you be willing to help me out to also become an Instagram pro? So I'm looking for an IG pro. What? 50% of you are IG pros? Okay, I don't believe that. Is that even a thing? Okay, so if you are interested in helping me also become an IG pro, let me know. Send me an email. And oh wow, okay, all right. Some of you have high creds. Okay, well yeah, please let me know. I would love some IG help. I'm trying to be an influencer. You know, influencer. I think that's a word. Influence. I don't know, something. Okay. All right. That's my questions for today. We'll finish the rest of the questions tomorrow. Okay, so today we're not going to do mathematics question, and we're not going to do the English question. We're doing something new instead. So I realized this weekend I've taught you almost all of the steps of studying, but I've missed one. So let me fill that gap in. So for mathematics, this is how you should study, right? You do a paper, you make a mistake, you celebrate, you identify the root cause of the mistake, and that's where we stopped. But there's one more step, which is once you've identified the root cause, you have to address the root cause, right? You have to fix that mistake. So this is one thing that I will talk about. So for mathematics, if you have a root cause, so this is intense. This is for intense people. If you have a root cause, let's say it's the root cause is working with negatives. So this is literally all you do. You go on Google or you open up your math books and you search for like simple negatives problems. Like these are like Kuman types problem, you know, like -9 - 8, okay? stuff like that. Or you make the algebra version of it, like negative x minus negative 2x times negative x, okay? And then you do those problems. And so essentially you just do like 100 or so problems with only negatives. And hopefully most of you should be writing this stuff down. This is important info, folks. You do 100 problems with just negatives. And by the end of it, I promise you, whenever your head or brain sees a negative sign, you will pay so much attention into it because you spent 100 questions focusing on the negatives, okay? So you do a math paper, you get a list of like 10 to 15 problems or root causes, and then for each one, this is the approach you take. So if it's working with brackets, you find bracket questions online or in your math book. So the finding questions is a difficult part because again, nobody approaches education this way, so they don't exist. That's where your creativity comes in. You could also work with a friend. Like you could make 5 negative questions, your friend makes 5 negative questions, and you send it to each other. And then you solve those questions, okay? So this is the approach to be followed for math. So do this last step is important. All the reading things we've been doing is to address the issues in the reading question, which is like, we didn't notice the units, we didn't copy the equation properly. That's also important. But if your issues are outside the reading, then this is the approach. Okay, now for the writing section, are you guys ready to like study smartly and intensely? This will be, are you ready to study smart and intensely? We're not talking about like sitting on the bench, Barney style learning. This is like smart intense. Okay, awesome, 94% of you. Okay, so this is what you do. You go on the Google. Okay, let me show you the Google. 1 second. Okay, so this is what you do. So you go on the Google and you search for free articles online and you click on any link. So here, let's click on this one. I was doing this before. This is already open here. So then you go here, then you click on the first link available. So I clicked here. And then this gave me, let's click on this. This gives you a list of articles. So I search here history. You search anything in here, change it up. And then you find an article like this, okay? So then essentially you get an article like this. Then you print out this article. Now you print out this article about like 7 or 8 times, okay? You print out this article 7 or 8 times. Just search up free articles online. Like you can get anything you want. This can be a book you like. This can be Straits Times articles. This can be like tabloid news or whatever. Try not to make it tabloid. Try to make it more academic. You find whatever you want, and then you print out 7 copies of it, okay? And then here's where the learning happens. This is where the magic happens, my friends. So once you have downloaded or printed out the article, okay, then you identify which areas of writing grammar you need help with, okay? Which areas need to be improved. And if you, whichever area you want to improve, you then go through and then you read the passage and highlight every time you come across it. So let's do modifiers first. So if you read this question, the first to introduce Methodism to Northridge was Miss Olive. Oh no, this is not the modifier. This is a modifier, right? Daughter of Aaron and Rachel Beach. And then you ask yourself the questions we ask ourselves in writing. What does this modifying? So it seems like it's modifying Miss Olive, okay? Then you keep going. She was born on Whitting, this, she. Then here's another one, with her family. What is this modifying? It's modifying she, okay? Then you keep going. Oh, you get the point, right? This is modifiers. Then you do this again on the next printout with another color. And now we're gonna do commas, okay? So we come across a comma and then we identify, okay, this sentence is independent, this is dependent, and this is also dependent. So this comma is the removable phrase comma, right? We can remove this phrase. That's what this comma is talking about, okay? There was another comma somewhere here, which was, where is it? Here again, this is the removable phrase comma. This is the comma that comes after a subject, or again, another removable phrase, comma, okay? So you do this for the entire article. And then this one's really cool. Then you do the pronouns. So then you go through again and you highlight pronouns. So she, okay, who is she? Is it Rachel Beach or is it Miss Olive? You identify who is she, okay? Then again, she, who is she? Then we come to they, who is they? And they, more they, okay? And then you do the semicolon. So we have a semicolon here. So should we check? We arrived here in 1815. So that's a full independent phrase for a year. Notice how this is dependent. So actually what you will find is you may find a lot of mistakes in articles online as well. So this is cool. You can now actually find mistakes in other people's work. So I think for semicolon, it had to be independent on either sides, right? For a year is not independent, I think. For a year is not independent. So therefore, this is a mistake. And are there any colons? Do we see any colons here? Nope. Okay. So this is the first part. Okay, so you should be writing this down again. This is the first part, which is you do the same article like 8 times, or you identify whichever the issues are, and you do it for those. Okay. Then what you do is you do this again, but this time you do point of paragraph. So this entire paragraph has a point of paragraph. This also has a point of paragraph. This has a point of paragraph. And then you do it for point of sentence. So this is point of sentence. This one, point of sentence. Okay, so this essentially you're getting into the practice of identifying the point of the paragraph and the sentence whenever you do it. And then this will become so second nature that when you go on the actual test, you won't even have to put pen to paper. This will just happen. Yeah, and then I would suggest you, ideally, you want to do this once a day for 30 days before the exam. So just only 30 times. I know this sounds for like a long time, but only 30 times. You do it. You don't have to do it for everything. This is way too long. You pick one page. So just do it for just one page, the length of a reading article. So this is the study approach for writing. For reading, we will do it at the end. But I want to ask you, check in with you. Does this make sense? And do you understand how this will help you in your writing? Does this make sense? And do you understand how this will help you? Okay, great. If you don't get it, send me an email. And this will also be on a document, which I will show later. So this is really like the best study approach that you can follow. It's so much better than doing practice problems upon practice problems for no reason. If you do one practice problem, identify which are the writing rules you need to improve, okay? And for those writing rules, do this exercise in a document. And then I'm telling you, if you do this exercise, the next time if you take a practice problem each week, practice test each week, the next time you take the practice test, you're not gonna make that mistake again. This will be so second nature for your brain that you won't need to do it. Okay, so this is the study approach. So in a summary, you should have written down the study approach for mathematics, which was do worksheets that pertain to the root cause, and the study approach for writing, which is print an article, whatever article, and go through it with the grammar rules, then go through it with point of sentence and point of paragraph. Oh, I forgot to say, also do this activity where you highlight the conjunctions. So there was a but, so highlight the but, and make sure that the point of sentence is matched. If you see a therefore, highlight those. And this way you will build your vocabulary on these weird conjunctions like nonetheless or nevertheless or notwithstanding and all those other weird ones. You'll also love those and learn those. Okay, so the other thing I want to share today is I'm gonna again ask this question, which is, has this class been fun for you? Has this class been fun for you? Awesome, I love it. Okay, for 93%, this has been fun. So I stress on fun a lot, right? I've been stressing on it a lot since the beginning. And so today I'll share with you why I do that. So the first thing is actually, I want to ask you, do you think that learning is fun? When you learn something new, is it fun or interesting? If I just give you a fun fact, or like, why are facts called fun facts, right? So learning is fun. Yes. Okay. So 95% of you again are saying that learning is fun, because the way the human brain works is, if you learn something new, if you learn something and you expand your mind, your brain enjoys that. It's fun. So then what is it that for some subjects and sometimes the fun is not there? The fun gets sort of beaten out of our brain. Yeah, so I think what you said in the chat is correct, that it depends on the way we're learning or being taught. That's absolutely correct. And so this is why I stress on fun a lot, because learning is supposed to be fun, but Aaron, you're right. Sometimes it can be made like to feel like a burden. So it's in our power to unburden ourselves and go back into having fun. So for those naysayers, the 5 people that said that learning is not fun, let me share some fun facts with you, and then you tell me if those facts were not fun. So the first fun fact is Scotland's national animal is a unicorn, and unicorns don't exist, but their national animal is a unicorn. That's pretty cool, right? Did you know that bees sometimes sting other bees? Like, isn't that crazy? I guess humans punch other humans, and so bees can sting other bees. That makes sense, okay? Did you know that on an average day, a kid can ask 300 questions to their parents? So when everyone here was younger, you probably asked on average 300 questions to your parents. And the parents have to answer them, right? It's only because the parents answered that the kid asks the other 299. Okay, did you know that recently, the total weight of all the ants on Earth, okay, like A-N-T-S, ants on Earth, was equal to the total weight of people? Isn't that nuts, right? And you probably knew that E was the most common letter used in the English language, in English words. I think it's also the case for French. I'm making this up, but I do know there's an author who wrote an entire novel without using the most common word. And that's a pretty cool activity to take on, right? I'll give you a couple more. Yeah, thanks. I love the chat. Okay. Some people have an extra bone in their knee. Did you know that? We're not done evolving yet. We can have, and it's becoming more common. Okay, this one was crazy. If you know what Pringles are, you can, if you buy Pringles, Pringles are not called chips because they're not made by frying slices of potatoes. They're actually compressed potatoes. And so other companies sued Pringles. And so Pringles had to change it from chips to crisps. So Pringles cannot use the word chips because they ruled legally against them. So these facts were fun, right? So Tharani, I understand. So these may not be as interesting as your subjects, but the thing is that it doesn't matter, because as long as you're learning something you didn't know, what's happening in your head is the same. You're just learning something, and so it's your approach to it. So I bring this up because we have now read a couple passages, right, through our time together. So we have learned quite a bit through these passages. So I would like you to now reflect and write down into public chat, what are some of the things that you've learned from the content of the passages that we've had so far? So yeah, Greek yogurt is the best thing ever. Yeah. So from the content, what have you learned from the content? So we have one, which is Greek yogurt. Japanese traditions. Yeah, we learned about Japanese traditions. Exactly what tradition, for example? Tell me more about this Japanese tradition. We learned of a story, yeah. 2 types of nerves. Did we learn about nerves in our reading?
No, that was like when I was practicing.
Oh, okay. Okay. We learned about 3D printers. Yeah. We learned about uses of CD scans and 3D printers. Where was it? Where was 3D scans and CT scans and 3D printers used? We learned how to pronounce paleontologists and what that even means. Although now I've forgotten. I should have paid more attention. We learned about the egg story, that's right, and co-working spaces. We learned what co-working spaces are. We learned acid way is bad for the environment. You're right. We did learn that. Yeah, acid way is not good for the environment, right? We also learned some solutions. Do you guys remember any solutions for acid way? Um, feed it. Did we feed acid way to people? Was that? Yeah, I think we fed acid way to livestock. Yeah, I think that's how we. Did we also use it as fertilizer? I don't remember that one. That's pretty cool. Okay. What else? What else did we learn? Okay, so now let's focus on the Akira story. What else did we learn from the Akira story? Okay, actually, let me do a question. Do we have any Japanese boys in our class? Are any of you Japanese boys? Oh, one, two. No way. You guys are kidding with me, right? Okay, someone lived in Japan. Okay, great. Has anyone been proposed to like this? Has anyone been? Has any of their? Um, no, I'm kidding. I'm messing with you. No, but the point is, we learned of a tradition of how in that story they talked about proposing. We learned about manners. Yeah, we learned Yoshi. Yeah, we learned the term what Yoshi means. Isn't it cool that in a patriarchal society in Asia there is a tradition where the boy takes the last name of the woman, right? So it seems like the social status is more important than patriarchy, which is really cool. I did not know that that was a thing before. Um, what else did we learn from that story? Oil paper umbrella. Yeah, actually, I let's. What is an oil paper umbrella? Let's Google search this right now. This is interesting. Oil paper umbrella.
Search it up. It's like one of those stereotypical Japanese umbrellas.
Oh yeah. Okay, okay. So they're like the flat. Yeah, some we have. We used to put these in our. We had these to put them in our drinks at home. We had these little umbrellas we could put in our drinks. Okay. You guys can Google search what oil paper umbrella is. Okay. What? Come on, tell me a bit more. We learned a couple more things from the Akira story. You can go back and look at it if you want. We learned about how wealthy families receive guests, right? That was pretty cool for me to like to have a um, to have a card written down for every guest. Like imagine every time you showed up at your friend's place and somebody wrote down your information and showed it to the host. That's a pretty cool guest. We learned about olden time ideologies. We also learned about it's not custom for social classes to mix, apparently. Yeah. We learned about Kobe Dental College. Yeah, actually, is that a real thing? Kobe Dental College? Kobe Dental College. There's Kobe College. I'm not sure about dental. Um, we learned what a go-between is. Yeah. Okay. So, okay, great. So let's stop here. And what a go-between tradition is. Yeah. Oh yeah, we learned that without a go-between, sometimes it can be rude to propose to someone, right? So we learned a tremendous amount, right? So the point I'm trying to make is when we're doing the SAT, and specifically when we're doing the reading and the writing section of the SAT, we are unknowingly learning a lot. And even from my time when I took the SAT, which was like many years ago, there are still some fun facts that I remember that I pull out sometimes when conversation is low. And so, one day you can be sitting around a table and you can be like, did you know what a Yoshi is? Now let me tell you what Yoshi is. Not the character from Mario Kart, but the tradition. So so the thing is, you're learning, and I'm asking you to just allow yourself to have fun. Okay, just allow yourself to enjoy the process of learning. That's all I'm asking. And if you do that, you will again notice there will be an increase in your involvement with the passage. Okay, so let me do another poll. Does that make sense? Does the whole learning aspect make sense? Nice, 96% of you, it makes sense. Maybe for our two Japanese boys that are in this class, it doesn't make sense. Okay, great. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah, so that's the point. Okay, so to summarize, for reading, to actively read, there's three things. Okay, the first thing is you fall in love with the passage by imagining that the passage has been given to you by whatever being or super being you look upon as the highest. Okay, so if you like Cookie with a K, then imagine Cookie with a K gave you this passage. The second thing is you fall in love with the content of the passage. So you tell yourself that for the next 20 minutes, Greek yogurt is the most adorable thing and the best thing ever in the world, okay? And the third thing is you allow yourself to learn in the passage, and you allow your brain to have fun every time it learns something new, like what the definition of paleontologist is and what Yoshi is, etc., etc. Okay? So these are the three things. So we will use these today. Before we do that, I want to finish the exercise that we started on Friday. No, we're not going to do the Kahoot again, where that Kahoot is stopped. I'm sorry, but we will discuss what we learned from the Kahoot. So I want to go back to the activity that we did right at the end. Can you type into chat how the Kahoot was similar to test day environments? How was the Kahoot that we did on Friday similar to the test day environment? So there was stress, there was time constraint. Lots of people write about time constraints. Yep. There was competition. Yeah, it was very competitive. I agree. At the end, the margin of winning at the end was 100 points, and the person that won had a total of 10,000 points. So he won literally by a 1% margin. There was lots of people. There was ranking. There was 4 options. Yeah, the leaderboard. There was adrenaline. You're right. There was adrenaline. Yeah. There was MCQ. The scoring system was quite similar, right? It was fun. It was fun. Yes, you're right. It was fun. That's also similar. So it was too fast. You were comparing yourself to other people. Yep. Here's one more. Past mistakes affected your future performance, right? So if you got a question incorrect, then that destroyed your streak. Now on the SAT, there's no streak, but there is a sense of confidence. If you did a passage and if you did math section and whilst doing the passage, you're like, oh no, that question was wrong, you just remembered, then you may start feeling bad, right? So psychologically, it can impact you. And there was a winner and a loser. The music served. There's no negative marking in the SAT. I was like CB. What is a CB? I'm not sure I know what that means. And college board. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I was making the test. The questions were up to my whims and fancies, right? I could put whatever in there. And here's one more. When you took the test, for some of you, they may have been new test environments. So I think like many of you got the first question wrong, which makes no sense because there was 3 wrong answers and 1 correct answer. But some of you said you like thought it was a trick question or something like that. So that's quite similar to the SAT. Sometimes you may go in and you may get a simple question incorrect because you're just unfamiliar with the environment. And actually, did any of you open the solution page on your laptop? And did that cause a problem because the question was on the laptop and then where you put your answer was on another screen on the laptop? Did anybody do that? Yeah, some of you did. Yeah. So again, if you were more familiar with Kahoot, if you'd done it before, maybe you would have known not to make that mistake. But this time we didn't, right? So these are some of the similarities between test day and Kahoot. So I bring this up because we talked last time about how our performance on test day can sometimes be worse than our performance in practice. And we want to start addressing those, right? So I want to give you a couple tools that can help you address these. And when we do a Kahoot next time, you can practice with these tools. So let's write these down. So the first thing is like past mistakes, having the tension and worry of the past mistakes impact you. So even though there's no negative marking, psychologically it could. If it's not great, but it could impact you. So think about it this way. The entire test is curved. So if you made a mistake, just imagine that everybody else in that hall also made that mistake. And because it's curved, it doesn't matter, okay? If everybody else gets it wrong, that question is basically not going to be counted. So if you open the scoring guide for the SAT, you will notice that sometimes in the writing section, the difference between a perfect score and 1 incorrect is the same. You still get the same number of points because probably they noticed that 1 question was not well made or everybody got it wrong. So they essentially they uncount the question. So if that happens, just treat it like that. When I did my GRE, I remember doing an entire math section. And I was like, this is the hardest math section I've ever had in my life. And I was like, I'm just guessing some of these answers. I don't even know how to do it. And I was like, you know what? I'm struggling. Everyone else is struggling too. So I did the entire thing. And at the end of it, I got perfect on maths. And I was like, great, because I didn't let myself get worried. And I just assumed like everybody else also got it wrong. GRE is different. They have an experimental section. So I'm assuming it was experimental. But the point is that think of it as correct. It's okay. The second thing, which is learning is fun. So let yourself have fun. You're going to learn a lot in the math section and in the reading and writing section. So just let yourself have fun. Third thing, practice the test conditions. So for unfamiliar test conditions, you want to practice the test conditions very well, which means that if right now, like me, you have your test paper printed like this, like loose pieces of paper, the actual SAT is not like that, right? The actual SAT is a booklet. And so when you open it like a booklet, you can no longer do this, okay? This is a very comfortable thing to do, but you can't do that anymore. Now you have to flip back and forth in a booklet. So that's a new test condition. If you have a calculator, how big the desk is. I remember when I took the SAT, I took it in India, the desks were slanted. And so I would do the test, I would put the pencil on the desk and it would roll off. And then I have to go like get the pencil, come back and sit down. And I was like, I didn't practice for a slanted desk. So luckily none of you have slanted desks. So I took it in India because SAT is banned in China and I was doing high school in China back then. So I had to fly to India to take my SAT. So, and there were holes. Oh yeah, there were holes in my table. So I was circling in an answer and I made a hole in the paper. And I was like, what, are you kidding me? Like, these are like test conditions. I didn't practice for this, right? So, so test conditions are important. Okay, so you want to practice for test conditions. There won't be any holes, hopefully for you, but if there are, you just want to go see where the room is, get a sense of it. Okay, practice it. So again, I hope you're writing these down. Okay. The next thing is yoga. Yoga and meditation really help. They help you relax your brain, relax your mind, and be centered. And if you practice this for 30, 40 days before the test, do it before the test and do it the morning of the test, then you will not feel as nervous or as stressed because you're taking your own mind and body and emotions and physiology into your own control. Okay, deep breathing can have a big impact. So please do that. Yeah, if there's any negative associations with the test center, in my school they took the test in the gym, and so instead of associating the gym with the test, associate it with like dodgeball or something. Okay, so just go there and fall in love with that room. Yeah, thank you, Shiv. Now, I'm happy Shiv is back. We missed you for a couple of days. Test day. Oh yeah, on the test day, get up and smile. And just like wake up that morning, get up and smile and be like, today I'm going to learn something new. Today will be a fun day. There's going to be cool challenges. And when you walk into the room, with the attitude that you did so much practice and you did smart practice, right? Because we're learning smart practice. All these other people in the room probably did like practice papers, like 1,000 practice papers, but you did your 3 practice papers to such depth that you are going to crush that SAT. So you are practiced out, right? If I tell you to go play soccer with a bunch of 4-year-olds, you're not going to be stressed because you're like, I got this, right? Soccer is easy. I can cream 4-year-olds in my sleep. So this should be the same attitude you should have, which you should build up for the test day. And the last one and the most important one is removing competition. Removing competition is the most important thing. Kahoot is the opposite of that. Kahoot is pure competition. There's a leaderboard after every single question. And I'm sure you noticed the negative impact that has on us, right? There's only one winner and we had over 100 people. So there are 99 losers essentially that day. But if you really ask yourself, you won the Kahoot. And so like, so what? Big whoop, right? What happened to you? Like competition is just, it's manufactured joy and manufactured sadness, right? It's like, I lost to some guy in some game that I won't remember 3 days from now. And so it doesn't matter, right? And in the room, there's no competition. In the room, it's just you and the paper. The competition maybe comes later on when you get the test scores back, but that doesn't matter. In the moment right now, there is no competition. It's just you, the test paper, and your past self. If you've done the practice, as long as you are better today than you were yesterday, that's all that matters. If you start competing with other people, like if another person turns a page and you haven't, then you're hurting yourself because your progress now is going to get diminished, right? Because you're going to become stressed. So when you walk in the room, you're like, you're the only person doing SAT Everybody else in that room is doing the ACT, okay? It doesn't matter to you. Everybody else got the ACT. You're the only person in there doing the SAT. So if they turn a page, they have a different test. You have a different test. So it's just you and the SAT. Yeah, these are all the tips and tricks I have so far. There will be an email being sent out to your parents also with something else, so you can have a discussion about that as well. So again, I'm going to ask a question about, does that make sense? Do these tips and tricks make sense so far? And or does anybody else want to write down any other cool tips and tricks into chat? Nice, 98% of you. This makes sense to 98% of you. Wow, that's an all-time high. Good sleep. Yeah, you're right, Sam. Good sleep makes a huge difference. Yep, absolutely. And good sleep, not just the night before, but get good sleep the week before, so that it's easier to get the night before. Yeah, and praying also helps. It's like meditation. If that is important to you, then absolutely that can make a huge difference. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Don't use up all your study resources immediately. Yeah, spread them out. If you follow the intense study approach that I laid out for you, then you should not be using more than 3 or 4 practice papers, honestly. Breathing techniques, absolutely. Treat it just like another practice. Absolutely, I love this one. Yeah, you're walking in, this is just another practice paper from Khan Academy, okay? Oh yeah, don't look around. You'll lose time and get distracted. Yeah, don't, there's nobody else in the room. Don't stress the day before. That's another really good one. The day before, I like to, so I had this tradition with my friends at Georgia Tech that right before the test, the hour before the test, my friends and I would go bowling. And we would just bowl and knock some pins down. And we would, like, get our heart pumping, get our blood going, get our breathing going, and we just go bowling. That's what we did. And essentially it was a way of saying, we've done enough practice, we can't practice anymore, and we're not going to exhaust ourselves mentally. So the day before the test, just relax, read a book, play some sports. Try not to watch too much TV, limit it to an hour and a half. Yeah, time management is okay, we'll talk about time management. We'll come back to that one. That one's a difficult one. Okay, and the other, there's one more which is important. If you see a difficult question, treat it like a challenge. It's like a fun challenge to do a difficult question, right? And if you see a simple question, treat it like, oh yeah, got this, easy, next, right? So you're positive for all of them. Okay, these are great. You guys are crushing it. If you got nothing from this entire past 10 minutes, the only thing you should take away is that think about these things. Don't just think about studying the mathematics, reading and writing. Also think about these other non-subject matter aspects of the SAT. They make a huge difference. When I took my GMAT for my graduate school admission, I had practiced the study techniques. I had the right fruits, the right drinks. I had been to the test center, looked at the area and everything. I knew what music I was going to play and listen to in the breaks. I had it all down, and so I was not surprised on the day. So think about these things. They make a huge difference. All right, I'm doing a lot of talking today. We have one more aspect of talking, and then we'll read a passage, I promise. Today's a very important day, though. These things will make a huge difference. Okay, the last topic of talking is how deeply did you understand the passage? So the question I have for you is, we read that Akira passage, like we spent 3 days on it, I think, right? As the days went by, did the depth with which you understand the passage increase as the time went by? So the question is, did the depth with which you understood the passage increase as time went by? Yeah, okay, great. 93% of you, the depth of the passage understanding increased as time went by. Absolutely. 100%. So there's a difference between, between knowing the passage and between understanding the passage. So when we first read the Akira story, we sort of know the passage, okay? Then when we like look deeper, we understand things that were a little more nuanced. For example, we understand whether or not Akira's proposal was accepted. We understand with what disposition the mother approached the situation. We understand whether or not Naomi likes Akira or not, right? These things are not immediately obvious. They come from understanding. And so as we do these questions, our understanding deepens and grows. So the last thing I want to add on writing is when you're reading the passage. So for example, when we read the egg story, I asked you questions which were on knowing, like, do you remember the age? Do you remember where they were walking? Do you remember the gender of the person that died? Do you remember how many kids he had, etc.? Right? These are knowing. Understanding is a step deeper, which is like things that are not immediately obvious, and so you want to understand those. So the understanding comes from like a little bit more thinking and thought process when you are doing the reading. So the last piece, which as you get better you can add on, is this understanding portion. So for example, we read 2 or 3 sentences in that one article that I downloaded. Do any of you remember, can you put into chat, what was that article about? What was the topic of that article? It was about Methodism, but what about Methodism? Yeah, Introduction to Methodisms. It was about Introduction to Methodisms, Methodism, but Introduction to Methodism, where? Does it say that? Was that there? Nice, Northridge, wow, yeah. So so that's where the point of paragraph and point of passage become very important, which is as you're reading, you learn to look a layer deeper than the surface content. So we know that the passage is going to be about the introduction of Methodism, right? And maybe we'll learn about how it was brought over, why it was brought over, were there any issues when it was brought over, et cetera, right? So this is the aspect of understanding. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to read a passage. And before we read this, I want all of you to keep in mind 4 things. Fall in love with the passage. It's given to you by the person or being that you look upon to the most. Fall in love with the content of the passage, whatever the content is. If it's Methodism, you are a Methodist, like die-hard Methodist, okay, for the next 20 minutes. What was the third thing we talked about today? Oh, learning is fun. Yeah, learning is fun. So whatever you learn in that passage, you can be like, yeah, that's a fun fact that I'm going to later use with my friends that did not take the SAT. I will tell them all about Greek yogurt and acid whey. And maybe we can all go eat acid whey. If animals can eat it, I can eat it. So learning. And the fourth thing is try and do understanding. As you're going through, try and just remember to understand. So that's a lot. These 4 are in order of importance. And as you keep practicing, you will get to the stage where you will understand. And if you're not understanding in the first read, that's okay. When you refer back to the question, then you're focusing on understanding only. So that's okay. So are we all ready for this? We have learned, this is basically like the lectures on reading is done. From now on, it's just practicing the skill in essence. So are we ready, my friends, to use these tools and read the passage once, and in that one time, read it so well that, my goodness, we are going to be the best. All right, we're ready. Okay, cool. We are ready. Zupa. So let me put up the passage. And, oh, let me do one more yes/no question. Did anybody read the passage on, what is this about? Did anyone read the passage on shopping this weekend? Did anyone read the passage on shopping this weekend? Okay. 83% of you didn't do the homework. All right, that's okay. That's fine. It actually helps since we're going to do it again. All right, that's okay. So fine. I will put this up and you do read it. And I want you to take 1 minute right now and I'd put yourself in those four things that we talked about. Okay, put yourself in the falling in love. Okay, put yourself in these four things right now. Imagine who's giving you the passage. It's about shopping, trends in shopping. Fall in love with shopping. Okay, shopping is great. We've all been at home. We've not been able to go shopping for the past like 6 months or whatnot. So, my goodness, this is great. It's passage 2 from paper 1. Okay, so please put yourself in that mode. Get excited to learn and um, and practice the. Okay, so everyone's in that mood, in that mode. All right, this is gonna be fun. Let's learn about shopping. Let's see what we get. All right. And remember to read this part. This part is very important. Read this part. All right, 10 more seconds. I'll do a poll. Have you finished reading the passage? Okay, sweet. We are mostly done. All right, I'm back. Passage is out. Okay, so I will get to these questions in chat. Before that, I want you to write down into chat, was reading this different? Did it feel slightly different? Was there less stress? Were you slightly more engaged? Did you learn something? It was interesting, yeah. Yeah, Sonali says it was actually really interesting. Yeah, it was engaging. Okay, so for those of you that said no, some of your classmates found it interesting and learned something. So let's go through these let's go through these things. Let's go through these 4 things. In chat, can you, if you're comfortable, can you write down who did you envision to be the person that has delivering you this passage? SpongeBob, okay. Who is bringing the passage to you? And Santa Claus, okay. Me, lol. Your econ teacher? Okay, now I'm gonna have to go and search these people also. I don't know these people. Okay, Barney, all right. Okay, all right. Then what was the content of, what was the point of the entire passage? What was the entire point or purpose of the entire passage? Can you put that into chat? So it was shopping. Tell me a little bit more than shopping. Tell me a little bit more than spending on gifts. Money can buy you love. That's an interesting, I love that takeaway. Money in relation to appreciation. That's a really good way of putting it. Value of gifts can be calculated. That's another good. Psychology behind gift giving. I really like that. That's a really good way of putting it. The thought that goes into buying and receiving gifts. Yeah, the thought or lack thereof, right? Economists and psychologists' opinion on gift giving and receiving. Yes, that's another good way of putting it. Yeah, so some of you are putting in points from the passage, but that's not the point of the passage. For example, more expensive gift equals more love is a point in the passage. It's a perspective, you know, but it's not the point of the passage. So just be careful. We're asking for the point of the passage. The psychology behind the correlation between gift giving and appreciation for an individual. Absolutely, yeah. Again, people not being able to transfer knowledge to different roles is a point in the passage, not the point of the passage. Okay, good. So now I think this is going to be a little repetition because some of you put all of this in. Can you write down into chat, what are some of the things that you learned from this? What did you learn? There was a lot of really cool information actually in this, like a lot of, next time when you buy gifts, there's a lot to think about. So can you write down into chat, what did you learn from this passage? Not to spend on gifts, yeah, okay. You now have research to back up your assertions that you won't spend on gift. You learned what dead weight loss is, absolutely. You learned that most expensive gift is not the best, that's very true. You learned money does not equal appreciation, that is very, very true, yeah. People tend to behave irrationally when gift giving. Yeah, isn't that cool? Like next time your parents want to give gifts, you can be like, actually, let me tell you about some research that we're not going to behave irrationally, right? Gift giving is inherently inefficient. Yeah, from economist perspective, yep. The bigger the gift is not necessarily the better the gift. You're absolutely right. That's another takeaway from this, right? I remember when I was young, there was this kid at a birthday party who when they got returns gifts, went in for the biggest one and walked away. And the biggest gift ended up being the lamest one. So I was like, joke's on him. So yeah, you're right. The biggest gift is not necessarily the best. Think carefully about your gift. Absolutely. Try to look at the gift from the receiver's point of view. Yeah, really, really good. Put yourself in the receiver's shoes when giving the gift. That's a really good lesson, right? These are like important life lessons. Like, folks, this is not just an SAT passage. This is literally life lessons. Like, now when you give gifts, you have so much information. Yeah, okay. So these are cool life lessons, right? So we learned quite a bit. Okay. And in these learnings actually is where the understanding is. You will see many of the lessons that we learned are, those aspects are tested on in the questions. So today's entire focus was on this. Again, why do I spend an entire day on this? Now, this is the second day we spent on reading a passage, because to answer your questions from earlier, my recommendation, this is my recommendation to you, is read the passage first. Don't worry about the question. Just read the passage first, but read it actively. And then you will, because what happens, then this is my reasoning. If you read, the 7 questions on this passage, then you read the passage, then you're in your head, you're trying to keep the 7 passages, in your head, whilst also trying to understand, you're keeping the 7 questions in your head while also trying to understand the passage. That becomes difficult in my experience. And look, all of these are suggestions. If it works for you, do it. If it doesn't work for you, read the question first. No harm. I'm just saying, I think if you read the passage really well first, with a lot of understanding and involvement, then the questions will become easy. It's a tiny passage. It's only 1 page. And you will know where to refer to, okay? So we spend long on this because this is important. This is a core part of this. And before I let you out, you've been asking for when do these classes end? So these classes are supposed to end on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But here's a question for you. Would you all like me to extend these classes by just a little bit? Should we extend these classes by just a little bit and do some more stuff? This makes me so happy. Okay, 95% of you are saying we'll extend it. So here's the thing. We'll extend it, but we won't extend it for, we'll go back to math. There's one lesson I want to do on math again, which we haven't touched on. But from my perspective, I have imparted to you almost all the knowledge that there is to impart for SAT. So here's the agreement we'll come to. We'll extend it, but then we will do some intro classes to some other subjects. Okay, so I think we'll do a really cool computer science class. Would that be fun? We'll do a really cool computer science class. You want to do a Kahoot only class? Okay, we can potentially do that also. All right, if more people submit questions, we can do a Kahoot class also. Okay. So we'll extend it. I'll find ways to extend it. I'll find more content, but okay, stuff I learned at Georgia Tech. All right. Actually, why don't you put in the chat? What would you like me to talk about? And then we'll extend it. I will let you know what if we can do it. Oh, we're over time. Sorry. We're doing an SAT SA1 as well. Yes, you're right. AA math. Okay, we can potentially do a math one. Okay, and we're out of time. Sorry, I need to play the music. Otherwise I'm not following my own rules here. I have to play music for you. We are running out of time here, my friends. All right, today I have Girls Like You, the song, but in French. So it's in French, okay? So if any of you know French, you should be able to sing along. All right, thank you so much for this class. See you all tomorrow.